Sonic Frontiers is now over 1 year old, and with the release of the final Horizon at the end of September, development has officially come to a close. Let's take a look back at the last year, the 3 expansions released for the 2023 roadmap, and how these updates didn't just change the future of Sonic Frontiers, but the future of all upcoming 3D Sonic games. As far as the base game, my overall thoughts haven't changed much from my initial review video. Frontiers was legit a dream game for me, bringing approaches to combat, movement, and story that I never thought would have been possible, let alone all in a single game. But as much as I loved it, it did have its clear flaws. My primary ones being the lack of additional gameplay modes, more meaningful activities in the open world, and a conclusion that carried the hype level set by the Titan fights, as well as providing a more satisfying finale. I remember I was putting the finishing touches on my DLC I'd like to see in Frontiers video, with my dream request being a Bloody Palace mode because I genuinely didn't believe that multiple playable characters or any expectations higher than that would have been possible. But then we received the pleasant surprise of a free year of DLC updates to Frontiers, which wasn't just unprecedented for a mainline Sonic game, but also a bit of whiplash, considering Sega tried to make Supersonic Enforce a paid microtransaction that only got revoked with community backlash just a few years ago. But a lot can change in a few years, and a lot changed for Frontiers with these updates. DLC 1 set the stage for 2 and 3 to build on. It added a small handful of quality of life improvements, a photo mode, jukebox, which initially I thought was just going to be a side menu option and nothing more, but instead was a collectathon where every island was filled with great Sonic tracks across the franchise. They also went the extra mile by having tracks tied to the environmental themes on top of just having stellar track selection. The Cyberspace Challenge, a time attack mode that gave you an easy way to replay cyberspace levels, as well as the completion reward for the charged boost in cyberspace upon S-ranking every gauntlet, and lastly, my personal favorite part of DLC 1, Battle Rush, a combat gauntlet that took you through waves of enemies and guardians, ending with the Titan fight of each respective island. I've always enjoyed the combat in Frontiers, and this scratched the itch for the Bloody Palace style mode I was looking for. For S-ranking all of Battle Rush, your reward is the Extreme Mode difficulty, and though that difficulty definitely whooped my ass, I had a ton of fun with it. DLC 1 did its job well of adding meaningful gameplay modes and giving the player base new reasons to jump back in. DLC 2 was where they truly hit stride. This being the birthday update, they did a fantastic job bringing the party aesthetic to all of the Starfall Islands. They added new Coco challenges, which were all fantastic platforming sections. These were the exact type of challenges the base game needed, and 100%ing them adds extra time to your boost gauge. The action chain challenges were also excellent. Time attacks, where you increase score by running through set pieces and defeating enemies, really rewarded fans who had mastered the game, and both this and the Coco challenges went a long way to adding meaningful content to the Starfall Islands, especially those who wanted more. And lastly, for DLC 2, literally changing the game with the completion reward for S-ranking all action chains, the Spin Dash, combined with the menu additions of momentum in this update, drastically improving the movement in Frontiers. They found a cohesive way to combine Spin Dash and Boost, and the momentum and air you can gain is delightful. Frontiers already had some of my favorite handling for Sonic in any game, but the Spin Dash in this update solidified it as my favorite control for Sonic in 3D, period. The New Game Plus playthrough after getting the Spin Dash was easily my favorite replay of the base game, and DLC 2's changes alone went a long way to helping the collectathon aspect of Frontiers on extra playthroughs. And then we got to DLC 3. The final Horizon, the big conclusion of Frontiers that promised a new finale, the return of Amy, Knuckles, and Tails to 3D, and a new supersonic form. Let's start with the heavy hitter that got the most people stoked, being able to play as the gang again in 3D. And like most things about Frontiers, they are overall great, but have their flaws. I love Amy's triple jump and floatiness, her glide felt fantastic to travel long distances, and I love that they finally implemented her fortune cards into the modern moveset. I've always felt like that's a key part of her origin that never gets brought into the modern games, and it felt great to see it for once. Not just in story, but as an extension of her abilities. My only real critique though is that they go so hard on the cards that her hammer is relegated as a backup weapon, and that should never be the case for Amy. The Pico Pico should always be her primary. Gliding around as Knuckles immediately brought me back to the adventure days. Being able to glide across long distances in the open zones felt great, especially so with his improved climbing, but sadly they gave my boy the weakest combo moveset, and not being able to throw hands with Knuckles in this game is a crime. Tails is the most mixed bag character to me. On the one hand, he doesn't have a homing attack and his weaponry is limited to throwing wrenches, and his side blaster being a lob shot instead of a pistol or SMG doesn't give him a ton of attack utility. That's until you unlock the Cyclone in his skill tree, and Tails just breaks the game in half. Do an infinite Psy loop and just zoom from one end of Aranos to the other without anything stopping you. I don't care that this trivializes his platforming sections, it's just too much fun finding ways to get around the game itself. The game feels great, but as you could probably recognize, one of my problems with their implementation, as well as with the Final Horizon as a whole, is that combat is not fun or encouraged at all. The new variants of Guardians on the island are so fast and have so much health that they just become chores to fight, and I feel like that's one of the biggest travesties. As someone who has always loved the combat in Frontiers, even if it is pretty simple, robbing the player of the power fantasy of fighting with every character in the Final Horizon was the biggest letdown for me. But then, weirdly enough, on the flip side, cyberspace, one of, if not the most critiqued aspects of the base game for Frontiers, is one of the best parts of DLC 3. One of the greatest strengths of the Final Horizon as a whole, which I'm shocked I haven't seen anyone else mention, there is no 2D at all in DLC 3. Every platforming section is in 3D, and I think that's one of the things that helps this expansion work for me. The crutch of 2D has held 3D games back for decades, and I've always felt like it's a band-aid that they've needed to rip off, and they finally did it. The best cyberspace levels got made here because of that. Combine that with levels being made with the momentum changes of DLC 2 in mind, as well as bringing that constant creativity the original levels lacked, and you have the best linear stages in the game. And then it doesn't matter what character you're given when exploring New Aranos, because there's genuine freedom to the movement. I felt like I found the best flow states and traversal in DLC 3. The new soundtrack, God, the new soundtrack. This game was already Otani's masterpiece as sound director, and he made it better. The new character themes, updated versions of Cyberspace and Guardian tracks, the expansions to I'm Here, it's sublime. It's all so good. The new story was also everything I could have wanted. Getting to have closure with the Titan pilots, seeing the gang continue to grow together, the side dialogue bits that have some insane lore implications. Don't worry, I'll have a video covering all of that before the end of the year, and just the entire final boss fight. Everything about it. I uploaded my reaction to the whole thing, and thank you all for the insane love on that, by the way, but I still hold that as my favorite finale in any Sonic game. The spectacle, hype, and emotion that fight gave me didn't just meet the bar set by the other Titan fights, it surpassed them somehow. Frontiers has always brought me back to my childhood playing the adventure games on my GameCube, and I got to feel that magic again throughout the final encounter. We got a new form again after so long, Flynn revealing in my recent Bumblecast with him that the internal name was Starfall Supersonic, which is such a great name. We get a happier ending with the end truly destroyed, and Eggman getting to go home with his daughter. They did it. They gave the ending that Frontiers always deserved from the beginning. Now, we return to the void, waiting for the next mainline Sonic game to release, and I think the feeling I have more than anything is just gratitude. I just feel very happy that Sonic Team made a game where they took big swings again. Even at Frontiers' most flawed, I never stopped having fun. And no Sonic game to date has given me a childlike glee and joy the way this game does. But it's also a sign that we still have a long way to go to improve. Frontiers is a messy game, and one that really needs to be the wake-up call that more people, money, and resources are needed to have Sonic and a sequel to this game be the best it can be. Sega can say they want to compete and surpass Mario, but we need to see that actions are being taken to show they are serious about their commitment to getting there. Despite all of that though, there is no price tag on the amount of emotional fulfillment and fun that this game has given me. I'm also grateful for all of you coming along this journey with me, being able to make videos on the roller coaster this game has been from its earliest announcement to here at its end. It has been awesome to see this community grow. I am humbled beyond words by the kind comments, and being able to grow as a creator alongside one of my all-time favorite games now is the ultimate blessing. I can't wait to make more videos about this game in the years to come, as well as other wild things we have coming soon for the Sonic franchise. But for now, I'll just say thank you Sonic Team and Morio Kishimoto for this game, and thank you for watching this video and any other you may have watched from me talking about it. What are your thoughts on Sonic Frontiers 1 year later, and what aspect are you most excited to see improved upon in the future? Love y'all. Have a blessed one.